experience, the first person I met, Lishan Chang, because he has been here for a long time. So he teach me a lot about this community. Then I learned a lot from him. But but he told me that one terrible thing. He says that English is not important. The hard work is very important. So that's why my English is still bad right now, because my opinion is so tight. I cannot change it. Yeah, but I try to after I got in the Law Agricultural Council residence program, I changed all my mind, because I work with cloud artists there. Then they invite the curator to my studio. Then I try to explain my works by using English. Then they understand. In that moment, I found so totally different what I create and what I display. And then I learn in that moment. So that's why I say the LMCC program is for me is very important. And I think several programs, I also got into the mentee program, the mentor program, they also teach me about the community.
I just think, the thing that's really incredible about being in New York is you really are the largest concentration of artists working today. And I think it's important for you to know what your context is, like who would your dream exhibition be with, like conceptually, what makes the most sense for your works to be written about in terms of an article. And I think probably my biggest community is there are artists who I've contacted just by coming across their work, whether it's in an exhibition or online. And I just went out and did it today. I got a lovely response about wanting to go and visit their studio and hear more about their work. I think that you get out of your community what you put into it, regardless whether you're a parent at school or you're an artist in New York. You have to show up, support the artists whose work you really like, go to their openings, support the galleries that you really like. For me, it's important that I actually buy work. I have a very small budget that I spend on art every year, and that alone has changed the way that I look at the art world.
I keep on hearing New York is a very small, tight-knit art community, and it's very closed, and it's very kind of insulated, and a lot of artists are very kind of introverted, creative individuals who are very reluctant to kind of puncture into that seemingly kind of isolated bubble. Do you guys really experience that kind of that feeling, that outsider, how the hell am I going to really get in there and come apart and really start to become an artist in New York, self-sustaining?
I'm just going to say, I think there are a lot of art worlds in New York, and I think that that there really are. If you go to different galleries, you start to see different groups of people. I went out to some openings last night, and I went to a new gallery, and I saw I didn't know a soul in the place, and it was a totally different thing. And I went to another gallery, and I knew a lot of people there, and I think they're just finding. I don't know, that doesn't really answer your question, but I actually think people are more open. It's just finding people that you like, and it doesn't matter what side that is. There's so many different kinds of artists and people here that I think there are a lot of different communities, and just starting with one person then opens up, another friend and another friend. And somebody else gave me really good advice recently. He said when he goes to an opening or an event, he tries to speak to 5 new people. And that felt like a lot to me, so I decided one was maybe a I think, you go with your friend or you meet one person there, and it may be a total bomb, uncomfortable conversation where they just could care less about who the hell you are, but then you might actually meet somebody else who actually is in the same place that you are, and you are the one person that they're going to talk to that night. So.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the things that's kind of interesting for me is that it seems that everybody said, don't go up to a curator at an opening and try and introduce yourself. And I'm actually not entirely against that. I mean, I might not want to have a 20-minute conversation with you while I'm out in a kind of social situation, but it's always nice to kind of have somebody say hey, I'm an artist, here's what I do, especially the kind of idea of having a business card or something, that you can pass to people or ask them if they do studio visits. Things like that are, you can go out on a limb, and sometimes those things backfire, but more often than not, I think people are fairly open to those kind of situations.
Outside of personal development, how important is it, do you think, to get an advanced degree?
I think it's pretty important. And I went to school I did my undergraduate from 90 to 95. And at the end of 95, I remember people talking about getting a master's degree. It was kind of a joke. We were like, why not a master's degree? And I went to grad school in London from 96 to 99. And grad school was a huge thing. It was when collectors were coming in and buying out studios. And I just thought, this is crazy. This would never happen in the States. Because, like I said, we were joking about my favorite programs. And I came back here in 99, and suddenly that had like totally taken off over here. Grad school, what it does do is it builds you a community of people who have made, they're making a statement choice that they're going to continue. This is something they're going to do. Grad schools can introduce you to a number of different curators and writers, just in terms of the studios that's coming through. But also, I think a good graduate program is going to be very current about what the kind of contexts that are happening in the art world at the time. And so that's something that you're not going to get if you're not in graduate school.
A lot of what he said is true. But the schools are factories. You gotta realize, if you want a graduate degree, I mean, you can't give it additional exposure, you need more time at work, and you can get more seminars and careers and all that stuff. But right, remember, the number one thing that graduate programs do and all these art schools do, and they're more of them than they've ever been before, and new programs. I mean, I remember there was not such a thing as feminism, now feminism programs and so forth. You can get a degree in feminism. But they're all factories to keep the faculty employed. The faculty won't hire you unless you have an MFA. You do not need a graduate degree or even a BFA to be an artist. And if you can be a person that educated yourself and you come out with your BFA, your BA, or maybe not even have a degree, and if you get yourself famous, the schools will want.
I would argue with the factory metaphor because I've heard that before, but my experience in working with graduate students is that it's an amazing opportunity for people to really dig into what their work is and try to figure it out. And you don't need to go to graduate school to do that. I met somebody last night who told me that instead of going to graduate school, he found an artist he really admired and went and worked for him for 3 years. And I know other people who talk about other kinds of experiences which are analogous to going to graduate school. But my experience has been that it's an incredibly self-reflective time that is in some ways constructed to help people put pressure on themselves, to ask themselves questions about their work, which helps the work evolve. I think it's a place where people who come from maybe engineering backgrounds or biology backgrounds can actually spend some time thinking about art if they want to become artists. I mean, I have a number of students who actually don't have undergraduate degrees in art at all, but after some life experience realize that they really want to make art, and that's a time for them to do it. And it's a huge debt. It's crazy. But there are a lot of schools where you can actually go and not take out huge debts. I mean, Hunter is an example of a program where you can take out a little debt, perhaps, or work while you're in school. Bard College is an example where you can go to school over the summer.
I'm sort of approaching this as more of a new curator, but I'm wondering how are you able to attract the right kind of attention to your shows, like writers and other curators and galleries where you can perhaps curate shows, that kind of thing?
For me, it's, I guess the process has been maybe a little bit slower because I'm working independently, so I haven't often been affiliated with institutions or other people that way. By the same token, though, it offers me a bit of freedom because I don't have to play by somebody else's rules necessarily. And so I think, although the process is slower, it's definitely not, it was not, and, hasn't been a kind of quick fit situation where I jump in and all of a sudden I'm doing shows here and there. It's a kind of long process, but I think being kind of focused and setting some goals for yourself about, the ways that you might want to curate shows. Certainly, like what a lot of people like Lishan has talked about, LFCC, there are other programs like the Bronx Museum's AIM program, Algira programs for artists, I think that as curators, also paying attention to these kind of, emerging artist programs becomes really important because it becomes a way to find artists whose work might be interesting to you and to develop a kind of ongoing dialogue that, could turn into other opportunities.